Do you think Bigfoot's derogatory?
Whoa.
Do you think he wants to be Sasquatch and like be calling him Bigfoot? He's like, man, yeah, I got big feet, but you don't gotta hit me for it.
Have to rub it in, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I was born this way.
Yeah.
That's the way God made me.
I'm a big dude.
Yeah, big feet. Yeah, I got big hands. You know, I use them to rip off, deer's heads and stuff. Want to see? Come here.
Call me Big.
Call me Bigfoot again. Yeah. Call me Bigfoot again. It's big feet, damn it. You can't even speak correctly. I have 2.
Yeah.
So, sad Squatch.
Yeah, he's probably very upset. He's probably the whole tribe is.
Well, I think a certain amount of
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
if they are at any point intelligent, they're probably doing the best they can to stay hidden.
Yeah, well, I think so.
I think we would get rid of them. I don't think we would let them
Exactly. That's probably
coexist
their fear.
to their own freedom. We would probably try to control them because of their
Yeah.
powers.
Just magic. Yeah, their powers. Yeah, we want their psychic energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well-
and Bigfoot blankets.
Well, yeah, Will, you're going to be the first one coming after now. They're listening.
Yep.
Like,
You're right.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
He'd make a rug out of us. Let's go get him.
So there is incentive for them to stay
call
hidden.
the Southwest unit.
For sure.
That's right. Not with the special powers, but would we protect them? It's a really good question.
Probably
So we keep gorillas in zoos, right?
Exactly.
yeah.
Is that protecting?
Okay, so let's say it's even not protected. It's certainly exploited, right? We're exploiting the gorilla. And if we're thinking of this thing only as another gorilla, just like a North American gorilla, then we're going to treat it like we do everything else, which people like to shoot them. Gorillas, they're poach. There's a lot of illegal stuff that goes on. And I know from a lot of the stories that people actually have their scope on this creature and they see its face and they go, that's a human face. I can't shoot that. And they put their gun down. Now, I'm sure it might not be a Homo sapien.
Yeah, but it's some hominid.
It's some hominid, just like, if there was
Neanderthals and stuff like that.
Exactly. We would think of it as this large, hairy man, not a gorilla.
Well, that's something that go ahead. Sorry.
That's it.
I was going to say, that's something that I always forget about and that always blows my mind every time I go back to it, is that we, at one point in time, were not the only humans on the planet. There was other species of hominids that existed. Every time I think about that, I'm like, that's crazy.
So why not again? Why not still?
No, yeah, exactly.
Why not still have other hominids?
Exactly.
Because Cro-Magnon man, all of us in this room, except ladies, I don't know, I didn't take your DNA, but I know my DNA has Neanderthal DNA, and most people with any type of European or Northern European ancestry, if you have like straight hair and light skin and things like that, these are from Neanderthal traits. And because there was some commingling between Cro-Magnon man and Neanderthal, and one obviously left, kind of in the sense, but we still carry around.
Yeah, but
now it's a minute amount of your DNA, but it's still there.
Can I claim that and get into college easy?
You might be able to. You might be able to.
I'm 1/35th Neanderthal.
Yes.
I think I qualify for something.
That's all right. Can I is there a scholarship fund for me? We need affirmative action for Neanderthals.
Exactly.
Now, if anybody actually understood that, they would say, "Yeah, that's called white people."
Yeah.
Because it's all Northern European.
It's true.
It's all Northern European descent. If you're from Sweden, you have more Neanderthal than you do if you're Sicilian.
Yeah.
But
which it just blows my mind.
So I'm sure some people listening don't know the story of a Neanderthal as I do. Would you mind kind of going into that? I don't know what their purpose was or where they were, when they were.
They were, I don't know, Dad, you probably know more than I do about this, but I do know that, they were this Northern European, like Scandinavia kind of area, even like Russia kind of, like just more Northern European area. And they had bigger skulls. They were shorter, but more stocky and muscular. And at least what we think is that they weren't as tribal as we were, because that was our big advantage, and that's at least anthropologists think that's the reason that we outlived Neanderthal, is because we would cooperate with each other and then cooperate with other tribes and then communicate, and that's how we formed language and everything like that. And so we'd be able to hunt more efficiently, we'd be able to follow animals further, we'd be able to explore further and just generally survive, pass down knowledge and stuff. And Neanderthals didn't do that as much. They were a lot more like small families, but they didn't live in these like giant like tribes. But then every once in a while we would like come across the Neanderthals, and then like we'd mate, and that's how we got their DNA. But that's a lot of what I know.
What time frame are we looking at here?
So it's about up until about 40,000 years ago. They were the dominant species of hominid, and they did not come out of Africa. They came out of Eurasia, Europe, and the Asian up in that northern area, whereas African would be the southern area. And they were shorter than Cro-Magnon man. They were stockier, much stronger, much more durable. Their bones were denser. They weren't any stupider. That's a prerogative.
The dumb.
Are you dumb
groups,
Neanderthal? Actually, they were quite intelligent. They can see. What they didn't have is what Will was talking about, was either the ability or the custom of sharing information. And so Cro-Magnon came up from Africa. Neanderthal are up there in Eurasia. They do mix and mingle. Because they are the same. They're both humans in that sense, and they're able to have offspring. But in a very, very short time, Neanderthal goes from the dominant species, way dominates Cro-Magnon, to Cro-Magnon basically wiping out Neanderthal in a very, very, very short time.
Yeah.
It's incredibly how short. It doesn't make any sense, actually, how short it is. There's something that we're missing, because those things don't happen so quickly. You don't make that change so quickly. One of the theories is that Neanderthal was very, very tribal in that they would have their small family groups and clans. But if we had, let's say, the Manhire clan, and we were a clan of 150, and then we had this other clan over closer to the mountain, and the Smith clan, we wouldn't necessarily share our tool making technologies with them. They'd say, well, here's what I'm doing right now, and here's how I made the sharper, and I could throw it farther. We would just stick.
That's how you make a coat when it's cold.
Right. It would be insular. All the knowledge that we had, we'd keep within our clan. And we don't have any evidence of this, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they were selfish or insular in a paranoid way. It just never occurred to them to share the information. Where Cro-Magnon man, while they were tribal, they would share information across tribes, and that's how innovation would come about. Where they'd say, "Well, I figured out how to do this with the spearhead and sharper," and the guy would look at this sharper. He goes, "Well, I can make it go farther," and so both of them would now have a sharper spear that could go farther, or a coat that could last in the winter, and they could hunt more, or something like that. And so their technology was able to amp up and develop very, very quickly, much like a lot of the technology did 7,000 to 5,000 years ago, during the Bronze Age and things like that, where we were able to, because people were sharing information. In fact, one of the theories as to why Europe and Asia were able to become these agricultural experts, and they were able to stop hunting and gathering and put down roots and actually grow food from the land, which means they could form villages, which means they could form communities, and they can have guilds and trades, and they could have art, and so things could all start coming out of this.
Thousands of years. They're not just spending their entire livelihood trying to get food,
right? Yeah. Whereas the peoples in North America, for the most part, well, if you read our great grandfather's book by John Tanner, called the book's called The Falcon by John Tanner, he tells how they were just looking for food all the time. They didn't have time for anything else. And the theory is that North America has its mountain range that divides north to south. So if you live on the west of the mountains, it's really, really hard to get over on the east. So you're kind of cut off from everybody. And the second thing you don't have is horses. There are no horses. North America does not have horses. Horses are not American. They're European and
Asian. Really any kind of riding animal.
Nothing. So you've got to walk. You're a slow mover, and you're isolated. Now you go to Europe and Eurasia, the mountain range runs east to west. And so if you're on this side of the mountain, let's say on this side of the Alps, and you have horses, information can travel back and forth much quicker, much quicker. And you're able to develop these things faster. And then you have news. That's what it is. You're bringing news very quickly to people. And sometimes it's technical news, technological news. Sometimes it's current events. Someone's about to invade. Okay, let's get ready. And so now that's just a theory. It's an interesting theory, and I can see I don't think it's a crazy theory. Let me put it that way. But kind of Neanderthal maybe suffered from the same problem, not geographically or topographically, but culturally. Right? They just did not share information. It wasn't part of their culture. They never had to.
Yeah.
And so they could have been easily wiped out by the technological advances of Cro-Magnon. Now, why would Cro-Magnon destroy Neanderthal? You know, are they a warring tribe? Do they have a bloodlust or something? We have no clue. Why couldn't they live peacefully with another hominid species? We have no clue. Which brings me back to Joe's point. Maybe we still can't live with another hominid species. Yeah. Maybe we would wipe out a Sasquatch species or something like that if we discovered them. I don't know.
Yeah. It'd be really interesting.
That assumes that the Earth is still here in 5 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we found Sasquatch would go that well. For Sasquatch.
It would not go well with Sasquatch.
I think the media would eat it up and it would become a very controlled.
Yeah, well, then everybody would go out and be like, oh, I know he's here. So, I mean, they already do that, but if everybody
and it would
was
open
like,
a market
okay,
for it as well.
Exactly.
You know,
rare Sasquatch.
Everyone around the world would be, hey, yeah, I'll pay you. Go
on the black market,
You have the right tools.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, people with money would just like people with money can spend that money to do really bizarre things with animals in Africa and where they're hunting them and stuff, and they do really bizarre things with people, unfortunately, too. Yeah. Right? And by the way, I was saying Neanderthal. It's Neanderthal.
Okay. Probably a foreign accent would help.
Yeah. Right. We Neanderthal. The Neanderthal DNA. We Neanderthals like this. You stinky Cro-Magnon man.
That's funny.